The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello everybody, Dan Tomaszewski here. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. I am joined by CJ Arlotta. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing awesome. CJ is the founder of CJ Media Solutions.
That's right.
And for our audience that's not familiar with what you do, can you give a brief overview of what you do day in, day out for MSPs and vendors?
Sure. So we are a PR agency. So we help vendors and we help MSPs get out there in their particular industries, particularly on the B2B side. We help them increase their visibility, amplify it.
Yeah.
And we do that through media relations, so working with journalists, helping them get into stories, and help them elevate themselves as thought leaders.
Okay. So, I want to tie this into, from a public relations perspective for an MSP. Now, most might think that, hey, if I'm going to, go out and get some PR work done, I need to have like an incident in the business. Right. I need there to be something that's like going to get me on, the local news station.
Right.
But that's not what it's all about, is it?
No. I mean, there are times where you may want to do that if you have something new that you want to pitch, or if you have a new offering. Work with the media to get yourself out there.
Right.
But you want to be working with the media outside of that. You want to reach out to them. You want to see what stories they're working on, how you can help, how you can provide your expertise, because oftentimes they're looking for sources for their stories, especially reporters that cover your industry.
Right. And you just don't, pick up the phone, call the local media and say, I've got a story for you, right? Because how many calls do they get?
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a big deal to us, but to them, they're like, you're just another phone call that I'm answering.
Right, exactly. And so to your point, the best is to build relationships with these journalists.
Yeah.
So what you want to do ahead of time is learn who these journalists are, see what they're covering, learn more about their publication, and figure out how you can add value to what you're doing. So do all of that ahead of time before reaching out to them for an ask.
So you're saying it's about relationship building?
It's about relationship building. That's correct.
Right. Yeah.
So again, it's about learning who they are, what they work on, and how you can help them, and where you fit into the equation. And sometimes before all of that, it's how you can help them find other sources. Maybe you're not the best source for a particular story.
Right.
Or maybe you're noticing a particular trend and you want to give them a tip on what's going on and what you're seeing. So do all of that ahead of time before you go in and ask to be included in an article or to share some thoughts on a particular trend that you're seeing as far as offerings and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are so many angles that as MSPs that can be taken, right? I mean, because it doesn't have to be the big story. Now, those are important. I mean, because I think, a lot of the stories that our clients are hearing, especially about large cybersecurity incidents, they're enterprise level. And sadly, those SMBs think, well, that's big enterprise. That doesn't happen to small and mid-sized companies, which is far from the truth. It happens to everybody. It's just that those small and mid-sized companies don't get the media exposure.
Right.
So, we need to look at that and say, okay, it might not get the TV, but maybe the local business journal will pick up on it.
Yeah.
And, that's coverage in itself, but that's something tangible that you go to your clients, to prospects, and say, hey, recently we were covered because of this happening at a local level.
Right.
And the value of that is just amazing.
Yeah, it's content, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to get yourself out there in all different types of content, whether it's a podcast, whether it's in a local media, whether it's on television. So the more you do this, the more visible you become. And to your point, you can share that with your clients. You can share that with prospects. You can share that in newsletters. You can share that on LinkedIn. So all of these are opportunities for you to create content and then distribute that and to show off your expertise.
Would you say that we, MSPs get the mindset into that trap that, what I do, I don't think anybody cares about. It's not that important. We take it for granted. What we do is extremely important, especially when we're talking about cybersecurity and now that AI word, right?
Right.
AI is here to stay. And, we've been talking today. I've been having so many conversations, where we say, it feels so new, but old at the same time.
Right.
And, the anniversary of ChatGPT is only going to be 3 years old, at the end of this month. I mean, it's still very, very new. And, if you can have those conversations, regardless of what type of media it is, then we're talking about current events. It's other people do want to hear it, even though we take it for granted.
And why not be part of that conversation, right? I'm sure there are so many MSPs out there who are going to be watching this and realizing that they can add value to the conversation at hand. How many times do you read a news article or listen to a podcast and roll your eyes and go, I can add more to this conversation than the person being interviewed, right? So go out and do that. Add to the conversation. Make those relationships in the media so you do become part of that conversation and you can add value to the conversation or take it into a totally different way and educate the audience.
So, what would you say are some important steps besides the relationship building? Because it's not, you go meet someone once and then you're friends, right? It does take time. What are things that, an MSP should be doing on a regular basis to develop that relationship? I mean, I know it sounds weird to ask that, but we need to think through that process, to develop it.
Well, first, like I said before, building that relationship with the journalists, so learning what they need, figuring out what they cover, what the publication covers, and where you can fit in. Also figure out what you want to say, how you can be of value to that particular reporter. So you do many things, your day-to-day operations, that you don't realize that you can talk about, right? We all do that. Same thing in the PR industry. So what I always recommend is to essentially sit down, think about the things you do on a daily basis with customers or clients, or sitting down with prospects, and think about the questions that they ask. What can you add value to? And keep like a list of just different topics. So you can put together thought leadership articles on those topics. Or when you start reaching out to the journalists in your industry or locally, you can start reaching out to them, providing them different stories that you can work on with them, right? Where you can add value, what articles you can write. So you can figure out the messaging you want to do ahead of time. And then also just being consistent, right? So it's not just reaching out to a journalist and hoping for the best. It's ongoing, right? So you want to always be reaching out to the journalists, not too often, right? We don't want to be harassing the journalists in any way, but every so often reaching out, letting them know that you're there, what you can provide, what's something new, because that's how you build the relationships. And at some point, they're going to reach back out to you when they need a story, and that's where you're going to get some coverage. And it may not be on a particular offering that you want to get out there, for example. But maybe they end up working on the story and they go, oh, Dan emailed me about this and that. I'm working on this story. Let me search my inbox, and your name pops up.
And I do like what you mentioned earlier, as far as you could connect them with another person. So being a connector, and what we're talking about isn't, rocket science, right? We're talking about, basic developmental skills of any relationship. And so, if we're a connector, that gives us that ability to, make you more valuable. And, because let's face it, it's got to be more about what's in it for me. It's what can I do to help somebody else out. And if you can connect them maybe with somebody here in the industry, in the channel, that has that experience, that's invaluable.
And so being on the PR side of things, that's very valuable, right? So we have journalists reaching out to us for stories they're working on. And so one client may not be the right fit, but another client is, right? But it helps everybody, because now they're reaching out to me and go, oh, CJ probably knows, he may know somebody. And even if we don't have somebody in our portfolio that can help that journalist out, we'll go out of our way and try to find somebody. Maybe I sat with somebody on a panel, for instance, or maybe I met with somebody at a conference. I try to connect them with the journalist, because then that journalist is always going to keep coming back to us. So maybe a journalist reaches out to you about a particular story. It's not really the right fit. Maybe somebody else at your organization, depending on the size of your company.
Yep.
Maybe somebody else is a right fit and you're not, so there's a move you could do there. Or if nobody at the organization is a fit, find somebody who can help them, because you probably do. And that journalist is going to keep coming back to you for future stories.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, what is a good, as we're wrapping up here, what is a good reason, besides like developing, maybe some, skill set around, building those PR, cadences. But what are the calls that you get from like an MSP? Why would an MSP call you and say, I need your help today? I mean, are we talking about like big incidents in their business that, you can help them as far as like, just taking a foothold on, keeping that relationship, getting that information out there?
It varies. We see a lot of people that they just want to reach out to the media and connect with them, right? Like I said earlier, you're reading these articles and you're seeing maybe your competitors in stories that you should be in, and they want to be part of the conversation. So usually that's how they reach out. We see a lot on the media relations side, trying to connect them with journalists, getting their story out there so they could be part of that conversation.
Okay. Excellent. CJ, greatly appreciate it, as always. For everybody out there listening, thank you so much for being here today. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.